Thank you for your answer, Mr. Mayor, and I'm very glad that you're taking the safety and security of the President seriously. It's vital that this trip is successful because the President Trump is a good president. He's going to visit this country, and it's going to open up many opportunities for trade and increasing the relationship we have with him. But the concern that people have, Mr. Mayor, is that the words that you've said as Mayor, as the Police and Crime Commissioner, in actually talking about loud protests, could be seen by some to be encouraging protests which may be unruly to the President when he comes. Don't you think that you should have been a little bit more responsible in your use of words and not actually using your airtime to be saying, oh, in a jokey way, oh, there could be protests, there may well be loud protests, because that may be courting trouble during the President's visit?
Can I just, Chair, the Assembly member rightly reminded politicians of the importance of the words they use. And so when a politician uses words like this, Tory and Labour politicians are busy blaming each other, but as usual are too politically correct to even consider mentioning the root causes of knife violence, a surge in migration of young people from parts of Somalia and Congo, with a culture where extreme violence is normal and on a completely different level to anything known before in the UK. That's an example of language being used in a way that I think is dangerous. And my point to you is this: is there any problem in this country that isn't the fault of immigration?
Well, I mean, this is Mayor's question time, so I'm asking you the questions rather than you asking me the questions. And obviously you sit in a party that has got large problems with anti-Semitism, and you sit in a party that tolerates an MP who once retweeted that the victims of abuse in Rotherham should shut their mouths for the sake of diversity. So I think those are very, very dangerous words from people in your own party. So I wouldn't throw stones when you live in a greenhouse. But you
the idea of being lectured about racism by UKIP representatives.
You seem...
I mean...
But you seem to have, a certain personal animosity to President Trump, and you know he's coming to this country. He's coming on a visit to this country. I wonder why you single out one particular head of state for negative comments when we have other...
Listen, please, members of the Assembly, UKIP has time to say whatever they wish without it being limited by you interrupting.
We have other heads of state visiting this country this year. We had the head of state of Saudi Arabia visiting this country. You said nothing about Saudi Arabia's policies and culture in that visit. And you've said, when you were talking about President Trump, Londoners hold their liberal values of freedom of speech very dear. And you also mentioned, when you're grandstanding around the world, when you went to France, you said a woman should be allowed to wear whatever she likes. But in Saudi Arabia, that's not the case. When the Crown Prince of Saudi Arabia came to visit London, you missed an opportunity to stand up for women's rights and freedom of speech, particularly freedom of religious belief in Saudi Arabia, which is very restricted. Why do you keep mentioning President Trump, but you decided not to say anything about those issues in Saudi Arabia? What's the difference?
Well, the difference is this: we have a special relationship with the USA. They're our best friends. We don't have the same special relationship with these other countries. And I think one of the responsibilities when you are a best friend is to stand shoulder to shoulder at times of adversity, but to call them out when they are wrong. I appreciate some people like to be sycophants all the time. I believe it's important, though, to call out your best friend when they're wrong. And I think it's out of order amplifying tweets of Britain First. I think it's out of order amplifying racist tweets that divide our communities, and you should be ashamed as UKIP representative defending that behaviour.
UKIP's time has expired, Mr Mayor. Assembly Member Boff.
Mr Mayor, after Assembly Member Curtin's contribution, do you wish that President Trump had paid a few more people to shut up?
Yes. Yes, that was quite funny. Is that it?
And do you welcome the particular aspect of the council elections in London, which saw the complete, total decimation of UKIP?
Well, when I used to be a lawyer, I'd say to clients the jury is nearly always right, and I think in the context of UKIP in London, the vote is always right.
Okay, thank you very much. And the final question is from Assembly Member Twycross on glass ceiling.
And I think, without wanting to prolong the previous question, I think we're all looking forward to having a feminist in the White House.
We will make America great again.
After several fatal terror attacks hit London last year, the mayor of that city, Sadiq Khan, who is a demagogue, tried to placate his critics by saying that overall London is the world's safest city. Watch.
London is the safest global city in the world and one of the safest cities in the world. But we are a very safe city.
That was false then. It's ridiculous now. A wave of stabbings have given London a higher murder rate than New York City, which is much bigger. On Thursday, 6 teenagers were stabbed in London in 4 separate incidents over just 90 minutes. Why is this happening? Why is it accelerating? Katie Hopkins, a lifelong resident of the UK, columnist at The Rebel, author of Rude, joins us now with an explanation. Katie, what's going on in London?
Doesn't it just make your skin crawl to hear that London mayor still trotting out? And just 2 days ago, the same lines, London is one of the safest cities. And if you go amongst London right now and talk to regular people in Britain, they wouldn't dream of taking their young people to London because we now have a higher murder rate than New York. We have a major problem with black gangs in different areas of London, in different postcode, zip code regions. Black gangs, rival black gangs, are killing each other. And that figure you mentioned, 6 in 24 hours, it actually went up to 9 stabbings yesterday. And for every stabbing carried out by one tribe, one gang, that will be revenge. There will be vengeance for that. So it's a perpetuating crime level, and it's a crime wave we're going to see rising. And it's a serious problem here in London that the mayor and the head of the Met won't talk about it because it involves young black men and they're too afraid of being called racist.
Well, that's it right there. I mean, London has had crime problems in centuries past at various points. But what's changed is the unwillingness of the people in charge to acknowledge it and their willingness instead to lie about it and punish anyone else who doesn't lie about it. So when he says the lie that London is the safest global city, how do people respond in London? Do they kind of nod in a bovine way? Oh, yeah, of course it is.
No, absolutely not. In fact, there's quite a campaign, and it's building now to get Sadiq Khan out. And I see myself as one of the cheerleaders of that campaign, of course. Frankly, if little Sadiq Khan could take off his ballet shoes and his tutu and stop dancing around the issue and address the problem head on, we have a problem with black gangs in London. These are a syndicated crime gangs in different areas attacking each other. We need to do profiling of the attackers. Then we need to quadruple our stop and search efforts. He got into power saying he would do his best to stop and search because it unfairly targeted young black men. Well, I say tough luck. If young black men are the guys mostly committing this crime, then young black men can expect to be stopped and searched. And frankly, if it was white conservative women doing the stabbing, I'd be very happy to be searched every day if it saved a life. But this lot are so politically correct, they are prepared to let London fall, let young boys die on the street, slaughtered every night here, because they don't want to be called racist. And I think that's a sickening state of affairs here in the UK.
But it's a very recognizable theme for us over here. Katie Hopkins, thank you for that. Appreciate it. Good luck with that campaign.
Thank you, Tucker. People are cowed. People are afraid, and people are not united. Great Britain is more disunited. It is absolutely divided more than any time in its past.
Well, that was DailyMail.com global columnist Katie Hopkins talking about the London terror attack on this show last week. In response, Londoners just about lost their minds. One called Hopkins a gargoyle, Piers Morgan called her a doom-monger. She was even likened to a Nazi sympathizer by Harry Potter creator J.K. Rowling, who's an avid tweeter. She tweeted, quote, "As Fox News and Katie Hopkins tell the world that terror is cowing London, I remember pro-appeasement U.S. Ambassador Joseph Kennedy in 1940, which makes her both very old and also a non-linear thinker." What does that even mean? Is Katie intimidated by all of this? She joins us now to tell us. Katie Hopkins, thanks for coming on.
My pleasure. Thanks for having me.
So apparently the column that you wrote and the conversation that we had were reported as hate crimes in Great Britain?
Yes, that's absolutely correct. The column I wrote, which was really quite heartfelt, about walking through the city after the attacks, feeling ourselves being pushed under by a terrorist. It was kind of a soft, thoughtful piece. That's been reported repeatedly as a hate crime against this country, and Londoners have completely lost their mind about me speaking out, about me failing to stick to the song sheet that we've been issued, because I don't say we stand united, because I will not say we are not cowed, because I'm speaking out about the fact that I believe this was all about Islamic terror and it sits with the Muslim community. London has absolutely lost the plot. They are mad as a box of frogs.
What happened to your island, which gave the world freedom of speech and was, you know, the embodiment of pluck and vigor and toughness and self-sufficiency, and took over the whole world? And now you're being called a hate criminal, and your Twitter's trying to censor you? Like, what happened exactly?
Yeah, and that's nothing new for me. You know, these liberals will come at you any way they can. They report me to social services about my children. They have reported me to the Major Crime and Homicide Command. I've been interviewed under caution. That's kind of standard stuff for me. I don't mind. You know, J.K. Rowling writes for children, and she writes about a fantasy land. Now, she wants to believe a fantasy land where we're all getting on well together and it's a brilliant, marvellous place, and it's absolutely fine, no problem that someone mows down people as they cross a bridge. You know, we'll leave that up to J.K. Rowling. People have said to me, look, Katie, we survived the Blitz. You know, we can survive this. This is nothing. Well, you know, in the Blitz, we were fighting for something. We were defending our great country. As far as I see it, London, which is really Obama on steroids, London are accomplices in wanting this country to fail. And that's why you'll see on Wednesday, when we finally kickstart the process of leaving the European Union, the rest of the UK, which is essentially Trump Town, where I belong, we are leaving the EU. We will stand defiant. We will stand up for Great Britain.